Good morning and welcome to a powerful moment of reflection and empowerment as we begin this new day. Psalm 91 is a timeless prayer that holds the key to unlocking strength, protection, and guidance for your day ahead. By starting your morning with this psalm, you open yourself to the divine assurances that it brings. Let's explore the significance of this prayer and how it can serve as your spiritual foundation. The significance of starting the day with confidence cannot be overstated, especially when that confidence is rooted in spiritual conviction. Psalm 91 begins with a powerful declaration: "He who dwells in the secret place of the Most High shall abide under the shadow of the Almighty." This opening verse lays the foundation for the entire psalm and serves as a constant reminder of the divine protection and security available to those who choose to place their trust in God. The first part of this verse emphasizes the concept of dwelling in the presence of God, suggesting that it is not merely a fleeting acknowledgement of faith, but a deep and abiding commitment. The act of dwelling implies a continuous, ongoing relationship where one finds comfort and safety. This establishes the idea that confidence is not something that is merely evoked in moments of crisis, but is something that is nurtured consistently in one's spiritual practice. By starting each day with Psalm 91, you are actively choosing to ground yourself in the assurance of divine protection. When you consciously choose to dwell in the secret place of the Most High, you are stepping into a mental and spiritual space where the worries of the world are held at bay. It is a place where you acknowledge that you are not alone in your journey. The shadow of the Almighty refers to the protective covering that God offers those who seek refuge in Him. Just as a shadow provides a sense of protection from the heat of the sun, God's shadow shields you from the various challenges and difficulties that might arise during the day. This protective covering is not just physical, it is emotional, psychological, and spiritual. The shadow of God ensures that no matter the circumstances, you can face each day with a sense of security, knowing that you are supported and safeguarded. Confidence in God's protection also comes from recognizing that this divine shelter is ever present and unchanging. In a world where so much is uncertain and temporary, Psalm 91 offers a steadfast promise that God's protection will not fail. The confidence that comes from this knowledge is not built on self-reliance or the belief that you can control everything around you. Instead, it is rooted in the understanding that there is a higher power that goes before you, surrounding you with grace and strength. This kind of confidence allows you to approach your day with a calm assurance, knowing that you are under the watchful eye of a loving and capable protector. The act of starting your day with Psalm 91 is not merely a form of ritual, it is an intentional act of setting your mindset for the hours ahead. When you read or meditate on this psalm in the morning, you are not just passively receiving words, you are actively inviting divine influence into your life. This moment of spiritual reflection transforms how you perceive the day. Rather than approaching the day with anxiety or uncertainty, you are choosing to focus on the protection, wisdom, and strength that God offers. Confidence, when rooted in faith, shifts your perspective and transforms your approach to life's challenges. This confidence does not mean that the challenges of the day will vanish or that life will become free of difficulty. Instead, it means that when difficulties arise, you can face them with a grounded sense of peace and resilience. Knowing that you are under the shadow of the Almighty allows you to tackle obstacles with a mindset that is open to solutions, rather than being overwhelmed by fear or doubt. Confidence in this sense is not a guarantee of a trouble-free life, but rather a steady resolve that even in the midst of trials, you are not abandoned. It is an inner strength that provides the courage to move forward even when the path is unclear. The confidence fostered by Psalm 91 nurtures a sense of gratitude. When you begin each day by acknowledging the protective presence of God, you are reminded of the many ways in which you are already blessed. This sense of gratitude reinforces your faith and creates a positive feedback loop that strengthens your belief in God's promises. As you move through the day, this gratitude builds a sense of trust in the unseen forces at work in your life. You come to recognize that not every success or moment of safety is a result of your own doing, but that there is divine intervention in the background, guiding you and ensuring your well-being. Building confidence through Psalm 91 also allows you to reframe the challenges you face. Instead of seeing obstacles as insurmountable barriers, you begin to view them as opportunities for growth and trust in God's protection. When you truly believe that you are sheltered by the Almighty, even the most daunting situations are met with a sense of peace and purpose. Your confidence empowers you to act in ways that you might otherwise shy away from. Whether in personal relationships, at work, or in dealing with unforeseen circumstances, starting the day with this psalm strengthens your resilience and builds your ability to handle whatever comes your way with grace and poise. In essence, Psalm 91 offers a spiritual tool for cultivating a confident mindset, one that recognizes the divine presence in every moment. By beginning your day in the awareness of this truth, you lay the groundwork for a life that is lived with a steady trust in God's protection and guidance. The confidence gained from dwelling in the secret place of the Most High transcends temporary challenges, empowering you to face the day with unwavering faith and peace. Recognize divine protection. Recognizing divine protection is at the heart of Psalm 91, offering an assurance that transcends human understanding. Surely he shall deliver you from the snare of the fowler and from the perilous pestilence. These powerful words assure you that God will not only protect you in times of physical danger, but also in times of emotional, psychological, and spiritual distress. The imagery used here speaks directly to the hidden and often unseen threats we face daily. The snare of the fowler refers to traps laid out by those who seek to harm us, whether through deceit, betrayal, or manipulative behavior. In the ancient world, a fowler was someone who set traps to catch birds, and this metaphor is used to describe the subtle, often concealed dangers that may present themselves in our lives. The promise that God will deliver us from such snares gives a sense of assurance that we are never truly vulnerable to the schemes of others, whether they come in the form of negative people, harmful circumstances, or unforeseen setbacks. Moreover, the phrase perilous pestilence further expands the scope of divine protection. Pestilence refers to widespread disease or harm, often beyond human control, which can be seen as a metaphor for the unpredictable challenges life throws our way. In modern times, this could be a reference to health crises, personal difficulties, societal unrest issues that seem beyond our ability to manage. However, Psalm 91 reassures us that even when we face such overwhelming challenges, God's protection covers us. This protection isn't just from physical harm, but also from being spiritually or emotionally devastated by these trials. The idea of pestilence serves as a reminder that no matter how insurmountable a problem may appear, divine protection is a constant source of safety. Understanding divine protection means acknowledging that not everything is within our control. Many of us live in a world where uncertainty is constant, where we face challenges we didn't anticipate and situations that seem completely out of our hands. However, Psalm 91 calls us to surrender the need for control and place our trust in the divine guidance and security that is offered. The psalm assures us that God's protection is not limited by human reasoning or understanding. While we may not always be able to prevent harm from coming our way, we can have confidence that we will not face these dangers alone. The protection promised in this psalm is a refuge that can withstand any storm, whether physical, emotional, or spiritual. When you recognize divine protection, you also start to see the subtle ways in which God guards you. Protection doesn't always manifest in obvious forms. Sometimes it may appear as a moment of guidance that steers you away from potential danger, a delayed appointment that saves you from being caught in a traffic accident, or a relationship ending just in time to prevent further emotional harm. These moments often go unnoticed in the busyness of daily life, but when you train yourself to see these instances through the lens of divine protection, you begin to recognize how often you are shielded from harm. The protection Psalm 91 speaks of isn't always the absence of danger, but the presence of divine intervention, which ensures that you are never completely overtaken by life's trials. Recognizing divine protection involves trusting that God's plan for your life includes safeguarding you in ways you may not fully understand. Life's challenges, including suffering and hardship, are often seen as inevitable and sometimes unfair. Yet Psalm 91 reminds you that even in the midst of difficulty, you are held in a place of safety. Divine protection does not mean that you will never experience hardships, but it means that you are surrounded by an invisible force that helps you navigate those hardships. It is an assurance that even when circumstances don't go as expected, you are not abandoned or forsaken. The psalm gives us the promise that in times of trouble, God will answer and His presence will bring you through to the other side. The sense of divine protection also provides a deep sense of peace, knowing that no matter what happens in your life, you are held in God's care. It reassures you that God's protection is a constant presence that does not waver. Life can be chaotic and unpredictable, but knowing that you are divinely protected allows you to remain calm amidst the storms. It fosters a mindset of peace, enabling you to face even the most difficult situations with a sense of grounded certainty. You begin to realize that although life may challenge you, it can never truly overwhelm you when you recognize the strength and security that comes from divine protection. Recognizing divine protection offers the strength to face difficult situations with courage. It becomes clear that you are not alone in your struggles. God is actively working on your behalf, and you can lean into His protection for strength. This recognition allows you to walk through each day with confidence, even in the face of adversity. With divine protection, you are empowered to take on life's challenges, knowing that the Creator of the universe stands beside you. This assurance leads to a deeper sense of trust in your daily decisions, knowing that you are being guided toward what is best for you. In recognizing divine protection, you also learn to trust in God's timing. Often we may not understand why certain things happen to us, but divine protection teaches us to trust that God is orchestrating events for our greater good. There may be moments of hardship, loss, or pain, but these do not go unnoticed. They are part of a larger plan that leads you toward growth and fulfillment. Divine protection is not only about keeping you safe, but also about guiding you toward a purpose that aligns with your true potential. It enables you to approach the day with a heart full of trust and a mind at ease, knowing that you are being safeguarded in every circumstance. The more you cultivate the awareness of divine protection, the more you'll begin to see it manifest in your life. It becomes a part of your spiritual understanding, one that nurtures a deeper connection with the divine, allowing you to experience life with greater peace, resilience, and faith. Embrace freedom from fear. Psalm 91 provides a profound sense of security and peace, particularly in its promise of freedom from fear. The verse, "You shall not be afraid of the terror by night, nor of the arrow that flies by day," directly addresses one of the most common and paralyzing human experiences, fear. Fear in many forms often creeps into our lives, whether it's the fear of the unknown, the fear of harm, or even the fear of failure. Psalm 91 speaks to this universal experience, offering comfort that fear does not need to dominate or control your life. By beginning each day with these words, you are actively choosing to break free from the chains that fear tries to place around you. You are reminding yourself that the anxieties, doubts, and worries that tend to flood your mind are not the final word. Rather, divine protection and strength are available to you at all times. Fear, especially irrational fear, has the power to dictate the choices we make, often leading us to avoid situations, relationships, or opportunities because of the possible risks or dangers involved. The terror that Psalm 91 speaks of is not limited to physical threats, but also encompasses the psychological and emotional fears that prevent us from living fully. It could be the fear of rejection, the fear of inadequacy, or the fear of not measuring up. These fears, while not always based on reality, often keep us trapped in a cycle of worry and hesitation. But by meditating on the assurances of Psalm 91, you affirm that these fears do not have the power to control your actions or your peace. You are not at the mercy of what could go wrong, but rather you are secure in the knowledge that divine protection ensures your safety no matter the external circumstances. The act of embracing freedom from fear begins with the realization that fear is often a product of the unknown or the uncontrollable. When you are confronted with challenges or uncertainties, it's easy for fear to arise, especially when you feel helpless or unable to influence the outcome. Psalm 91 encourages you to shift your perspective by placing your trust in the divine rather than relying solely on your own understanding or abilities. When you recognize that God's protection is constant, unchanging, and all-encompassing, the fear of the unknown starts to diminish. You no longer have to rely on your own strength to overcome life's challenges because you trust that there is a higher power at work that will guide, protect, and sustain you. One of the most significant aspects of Psalm 91 is that it helps you reframe the way you view fear itself. Fear in this context is not something to be ignored or suppressed, but something to be acknowledged and confronted with the truth of God's promises. The fear of the arrow that flies by day can represent many of the trials and obstacles we encounter in our daily lives. These might include struggles in our careers, personal relationships, health concerns, or even broader societal challenges. However, Psalm 91 assures us that these things, while they may appear threatening, do not have the final say. The promise of divine protection means that no matter what comes your way, you are not left defenseless or vulnerable. Fear loses its power when you recognize that it is not the external circumstances that determine your well-being, but the spiritual strength and protection that come from your connection with the divine. In embracing freedom from fear, it is essential to understand that fear often arises from a lack of trust or control. The more you trust in God's guidance and protection, the less power fear holds over your life. This trust allows you to face even the most intimidating challenges with a sense of inner peace and strength. Fear may still attempt to surface, but when it does, you can remind yourself of the promises in Psalm 91. You are not left to face life's trials alone. God's presence, guidance, and protection go before you, providing the peace of mind that fear cannot penetrate. This freedom from fear doesn't mean that you will never experience anxiety or worry, but rather that you will not let these feelings dictate your actions or overshadow your confidence in the divine. Freedom from fear also allows you to step into your fullest potential. Fear is often a barrier that holds us back from pursuing our dreams, taking risks, or seizing opportunities. Whether it's fear of failure, fear of success, or fear of judgment, these emotional roadblocks prevent us from living the life we are meant to lead. By recognizing the divine protection and guidance outlined in Psalm 91, you can approach life with greater courage, knowing that no matter what you encounter, you will be supported. You are empowered to take risks, make decisions, and move forward with the assurance that you are protected and guided in all that you do. When fear is no longer a driving force in your life, you are free to experience life with a sense of joy and confidence. The constant pressure of worrying about potential dangers, risks, or failures no longer holds you back. You begin to view challenges as opportunities for growth, knowing that with divine protection you have the strength and resilience to overcome whatever may come your way. The freedom from fear enables you to live authentically and with purpose, without being weighed down by the what-ifs and the negative scenarios that often play out in our minds. Embracing freedom from fear doesn't mean ignoring the very real challenges that life presents. Instead, it means trusting that no matter how difficult the situation may be, you are not alone. You have a constant source of strength, a divine protector who ensures that no harm can overtake you. This sense of assurance provides the courage to continue moving forward, even in the face of adversity. Fear may still show up, but it no longer has the power to paralyze you or prevent you from stepping into your purpose. Freedom from fear is about reclaiming your peace and confidence. When you begin each day with the affirmation of divine protection and security, you remove fear as a barrier to living fully. You choose to walk in faith rather than be held back by anxiety or uncertainty. The words of Psalm 91, when embraced with sincerity, transform the way you engage with life, enabling you to meet each challenge with courage, trust, and an unshakable sense of peace. Live with confidence in God's promises. And living with confidence in God's promises, as highlighted in Psalm 91, is an essential practice for anyone seeking peace, security, and strength in their daily life. 1,000 may fall at your side and 10,000 at your right hand, but it shall not come near you. It is one of the most powerful declarations in this psalm, offering assurance that regardless of the challenges, adversities, or threats around you, God's promises remain steadfast. The imagery of thousands falling on either side speaks to the very real difficulties and dangers that we may encounter in life. These could range from personal setbacks, societal struggles, or even natural disasters. The reality is that no one is immune to life's hardships, but the promise of divine protection assures us that we do not have to face these challenges alone. In fact, Psalm 91 teaches us that even in the midst of turmoil, we can walk with confidence, knowing that God's protective shield surrounds us. The key to living with confidence in God's promises is recognizing that these promises are not contingent on external circumstances or the volatility of the world. When we place our trust in divine protection, we are affirming that no matter what happens in the world around us, we are grounded in a source of strength that cannot be shaken. This allows us to approach life with a sense of peace and assurance, even when things seem uncertain or chaotic. Confidence in God's promises is not based on human reasoning, but on a deeper spiritual understanding that God's protection is unshakable and ever present. This sense of certainty allows you to face each day without fear, doubt, or hesitation, knowing that you are held in divine care. A critical aspect of living confidently in God's promises is the belief that His protection and guidance are not temporary but enduring. Often people seek reassurance during times of crisis, only to feel vulnerable again once the immediate danger has passed. Psalm 91, however, assures us that God's protection is a constant, ongoing reality. It is not conditional or sporadic, but is always present in every moment of our lives. Living with confidence means internalizing this truth and making it the foundation of your daily experience. When you wake up each day, you can remind yourself that no matter what challenges you may face, God's promises are unwavering and true. This sense of eternal protection provides stability in a world that is often unpredictable and unstable. Another important element of living confidently in God's promises is the acknowledgement that God's plan for you is one of hope, peace, and prosperity. The assurance of divine protection speaks to a larger divine purpose, one that goes beyond immediate circumstances. Even when facing difficulties, living with confidence means recognizing that these challenges are part of a greater plan designed for your growth, development, and ultimate well-being. God's promises are not just about escaping hardship, but about enduring through it with strength and resilience. Confidence in God's promises leads you to trust that every challenge you face is an opportunity for spiritual growth, and that in the end you will emerge stronger, wiser, and more in tune with your higher purpose. Living with confidence in God's promises also involves taking an active role in your life's journey. It's not about passively waiting for divine intervention, but trusting that as you move forward with faith and purpose, God will guide and protect you. Confidence in God's promises calls you to action, to live intentionally and make choices that align with your spiritual values and goals. Trusting in God's protection doesn't mean you ignore the practical steps required to navigate life's challenges. Instead, it encourages you to take those steps with the understanding that you are not walking the path alone. Your faith provides you with the strength to take risks, embrace opportunities, and make decisions without fear, knowing that divine guidance will steer you in the right direction. Living confidently in God's promises requires a shift in how we view adversity. It's easy to become discouraged when faced with difficulties, but Psalm 91 teaches that these challenges are not a sign of abandonment or failure. Instead, they are an opportunity to reaffirm your trust in God's promises and to lean deeper into His protection. The promise that it shall not come near you doesn't imply that life will be free from pain or struggle, but it suggests that even in the midst of difficulty, we are shielded by divine grace. This perspective allows you to approach life's obstacles with a mindset of victory rather than defeat. Knowing that God's protection is ever present transforms the way you experience hardship. Instead of feeling helpless or defeated, you can move forward with confidence, knowing that you will not face anything that God has not already equipped you to handle. Confidence in God's promises also deepens your relationship with the divine. As you continually reaffirm your trust in His protection and guidance, you cultivate a more intimate, trusting relationship with God. This trust allows you to surrender your fears and anxieties to Him, knowing that He is faithful and trustworthy. Confidence is rooted in experience. As you witness the fulfillment of God's promises in your life, your trust and assurance in His protection only grow stronger. Each day becomes an opportunity to see God's hand at work in your life, from the smallest blessings to the most significant milestones. Living with confidence in God's promises provides a sense of peace that transcends circumstances. While external conditions may fluctuate, your inner peace remains grounded in the unchanging nature of God's protection. This peace is not merely the absence of conflict, but a deep sense of assurance that God's presence is always with you, no matter what is happening around you. It's the peace that allows you to sleep soundly at night, even when the world feels uncertain. It's the peace that enables you to face challenges with grace and poise, knowing that you are secure in God's care. The confidence that comes from God's promises can be a source of inspiration and encouragement to others. When you live with confidence in divine protection, others around you notice. Your faith becomes a beacon of hope, demonstrating that it is possible to trust in God's promises even in the face of adversity. Your life becomes a testimony to the reality of divine protection and the power of living with confidence in God's unwavering love and care. This confidence not only sustains you, but also has the potential to uplift and encourage those around you, offering them the same assurance and peace that you have found. Experience divine protection and care. Psalm 91 speaks to one of the deepest human needs, the longing for security and protection. The psalm promises divine care, emphasizing that he who dwells in the secret place of the Most High shall abide under the shadow of the Almighty. This metaphor of abiding under God's shadow represents the security and shelter found in His presence. The phrase secret place suggests a space of intimacy, a close, personal relationship with God, where one finds refuge and protection. The idea of the shadow of the Almighty invokes the image of being enveloped by God's protective power, as if under the cover of a sheltering wing. Experiencing this divine protection requires cultivating a relationship with God where we trust that His care for us is not distant or impersonal, but active, intimate, and unyielding. This deep connection with the divine assures us that no matter what life may bring, we are held and protected by a higher power that is always with us. In this promise, God's protection is not conditional or based on our own ability to protect ourselves. Human beings in their own strength can only do so much to guard themselves from the dangers and uncertainties of life. Natural disasters, accidents, illness, and other unforeseen calamities often serve as reminders of how vulnerable we are. However, Psalm 91 reassures us that God's protection transcends our human limitations. It tells us that even in times of danger, God's divine care is sufficient. This level of divine protection assures us that no harm will come near us without God's will. It does not mean that we won't face challenges or even periods of suffering, but it assures us that we will not face these struggles alone. God's protection covers us like a shield, guiding us through trials and keeping us from the harm that could otherwise overwhelm us. The protection promised in Psalm 91 isn't limited to physical threats. It encompasses all aspects of life, from emotional and mental well-being to spiritual safety. In times of emotional distress, anxiety, or fear, we can find comfort in knowing that God's presence provides peace. When the weight of worry or the burden of fear seems overwhelming, the divine promise of protection offers a sanctuary of peace that the world cannot provide. It is in this sacred place of refuge that we can calm our minds, lift our hearts, and trust that God is actively caring for every aspect of our lives. The peace offered here is not merely the absence of conflict, but a deep, abiding reassurance that God is always with us, no matter what we face. God's protection is not passive. It is a dynamic force that actively works in our lives to direct and guard us. The Psalm speaks of God being a refuge and fortress, which suggests that divine protection is both a place of safety and a powerful shield. This means that God's protection is not merely a covering from harm, but also a source of strength that empowers us to overcome challenges. It is an active presence guarding us not only from external threats, but also from internal struggles such as fear, doubt, and despair. As we grow in our awareness of this protection, we begin to experience a shift in how we approach life's difficulties. Instead of feeling overwhelmed by obstacles, we feel fortified, knowing that God's strength is greater than any challenge we face. Psalm 91 promises that those who trust in God's protection will experience deliverance from hidden dangers. The verse says, "He shall deliver you from the snare of the fowler and from the perilous pestilence." These hidden dangers can represent the unseen struggles we face in life, the emotional traps, the internal battles, or even the unseen threats that may attempt to undermine our peace and well-being. The snare of the fowler suggests traps that are set up to entangle us, perhaps subtly or without our immediate awareness. These could be situations or patterns in life that we may not recognize as harmful until we are caught in them. Whether it is a toxic relationship, a harmful habit, or a situation that seeks to rob us of our joy, God's protective care is able to deliver us from these snares, even when we are unaware of them. In a similar vein, the perilous pestilence mentioned in Psalm 91 refers to any form of harm, threat, or danger that might attempt to infiltrate our lives. It can be understood as a metaphor for the difficulties or adversities that seem to spread and multiply, threatening to overwhelm us. This could refer to a multitude of challenges, whether they be personal, professional, or relational. Yet the psalm reassures us that God's protective care covers us even in the midst of these dangers. God's care is not just a passive promise to keep us safe. It is an active and continual source of protection that shields us from dangers both seen and unseen. To fully experience divine protection and care, one must also understand that this is not about a passive trust, but an active relationship with God. Dwelling in the secret place of the Most High suggests a deliberate choice to draw near to God, to seek His presence in our daily lives. This means that divine protection is often a result of our own spiritual practices, prayer, meditation, reflection, and a commitment to aligning our hearts and minds with divine will. Just as a child trusts and runs to a parent for protection, we too must actively seek God's shelter and rely on His guidance. The more we cultivate this relationship, the more we become attuned to God's protective presence in our lives, recognizing His care in both the small moments and the significant ones. The experience of divine protection is deeply tied to the trust we place in God's promises. The more we acknowledge His sovereignty and recognize His active role in our lives, the more we open ourselves to the experience of His protection. This trust in divine care creates a foundation of peace, strength, and confidence, knowing that no matter what comes our way, we are never truly alone. God's protection is a constant, unfailing presence, guarding us from harm, guiding us through challenges, and empowering us to live with courage and resilience. As we embrace this truth, we can face each day with the assurance that we are safely held within the arms of divine protection, no matter what threats may arise. Faith in God's promises of blessing and provision. Psalm 91 assures those who trust in God of His faithfulness to provide and bless them, even in difficult and uncertain circumstances. The psalm speaks not only of protection, but also of God's promise to bless and provide for those who seek His refuge. It describes the believer as satisfied with long life, showing that the rewards of God's care extend beyond mere survival, focusing instead on flourishing in all aspects of life. This blessing is not limited to material wealth, but it encompasses physical health, emotional well-being, spiritual growth, and a sense of fulfillment. To trust in God's provision is to understand that He is not just a protector, but a generous provider who desires His children to thrive in every area of their lives. In this passage, God's promise of blessing transcends material provision. While the psalm speaks of physical protection, it also alludes to a greater spiritual truth, that those who trust in God's care will experience wholeness in their lives. The promise of long life and abundant peace speaks to the fact that God's care extends to the totality of one's existence. In addition to guarding against danger and harm, God's provision brings peace to the heart and fulfillment to the spirit. This speaks to the holistic nature of God's blessing. It is not just about external circumstances, but about inner peace, joy, and purpose in life. It is through faith in God's promises that we begin to experience this sense of completeness where our physical, emotional, and spiritual well-being are interwoven in a way that allows us to thrive. Trusting in God's provision involves more than just waiting for blessings to materialize. It requires a deep faith that God will meet our needs in His perfect timing and in ways that are in alignment with His will. Faith in God's provision means trusting that He sees our needs and is actively at work to fulfill them, even when we cannot see how it will happen. This requires a shift in perspective where we no longer view life through the lens of scarcity and lack, but through the abundant provision of a loving and faithful God. The psalm encourages believers to recognize that God is not only aware of our challenges, but is also more than able to supply every need. This mindset of abundance allows us to approach each day with confidence, knowing that we are being cared for and provided for in ways that go beyond what we could ask for or imagine. The blessings promised in Psalm 91 also require a commitment to faithfulness in our relationship with God. As the psalm assures divine protection, it also emphasizes the importance of dwelling in the secret place of the Most High, which requires an intentional choice to seek God's presence daily. This is a reciprocal relationship where God promises His provision, and in return, we are called to cultivate a life of devotion, trust, and obedience to His guidance. Faith in God's provision, then, is not passive, it involves active participation in the relationship. The psalm calls us to place our trust in God, seek His refuge, and live in alignment with His will, knowing that this position of surrender and trust opens the door to divine blessing and abundance. God's provision is also often linked to His faithfulness. The psalmist recounts how God has always been present for His people, fulfilling His promises even in the most trying of circumstances. This is important because it demonstrates that God's promises are not fickle or conditional on our own abilities, but are guaranteed by His unwavering faithfulness. When we look at our lives through the lens of God's faithfulness, we begin to recognize the many ways in which He has already provided for us. From the small blessings of daily life to the larger, life-changing provisions, we see that God's care is constant and never fails. Faith in God's provision is not about waiting for the perfect circumstances, but about recognizing that His blessings are already at work in our lives. By cultivating this awareness, we begin to live with gratitude and peace, knowing that God is always present and always providing,